Hey, what is going on, Miami Dolphins fans? Welcome back to the Fins Up Network. It's Ben Morgan, and it is finally here. The season has arrived. It's schedule prediction time. And every single year, I go through the entire NFL schedule, all 32 teams. I want to get records for each and every team so that I kind of have a baseline as to how I think that they're going to do going into the season. But obviously, in today's video, I'm going to focus on the Miami Dolphins, how I see things playing out. But before I get started, your assignment. I want to hear your win-loss predictions in the comments below. Any other season predictions for the Dolphins that you have as well, go ahead and drop those in the comments. But let's dive right into this thing. I'm going to flash my wins and losses on the screen here so you can take a peek at what I actually have for the season. But rather than me going game by game and breaking down each one into detail, because a lot of things are going to change throughout the season for both the Dolphins and their opponents, I'm going to talk about stretches of the season and things that stand out, essentially breaking the season down into 4 quarters. So I'll show you what I mean by that. I'm going to take this off the screen here for a second, and we'll get into quarter number one. So for quarter number one, the Miami Dolphins are at home against the Patriots, on the road against the Ravens, at home against the Bills, and then at the Bengals. And honestly, if you can get out of this first quarter with a 2-2 record, I'm going to chalk that up as a win. Because not only is this the hardest stretch of the schedule, in my opinion, for the entire season, but it's also our head coach's first games as an actual head coach. That you got to have that play into some sort of role. It's also the offense's first games in the new system, non-preseason games, real live action. And as we all know, Byron Jones, our second best cornerback, starting the season on the PUP list. So he's also out for the first 4 games. And this next statement I make might sound a little bit crazy, but hear me out, because I do not think that we should be in panic mode if this team starts out 1-3. And you're going to see in a minute as to what I mean there, and you're going to see how the quality of opponent drops off significantly over the next 2 quarters of the season. But in reality, 2-2 should be more than doable, because if Miami can take care of business at home against the New England Patriots team, yes, they probably have a coaching advantage, but on the roster, the Miami Dolphins are the superior team in that matchup. And honestly, if indeed we are ready to compete this year, like if the rebuild is indeed complete and we are ready to compete, then we've got to prove that we can beat a team like the Bills. So you're getting them early, you're getting them at home. This is your chance to finally take down the Buffalo Bills. And here's your stat of the day to show you how bad we need a win against the Buffalo Bills to prove that we are ready to compete. And here's that stat, because we have not beat the Buffalo Bills since December 2nd of 2018. That drought has absolutely got to come to an end. So with that, let's jump into the second quarter, because you're at the Jets, you're at home against the Vikings and Steelers, and you're at the Lions. So you got 2 home games against decent teams, but at the end of the day, teams that you should beat. And then you've got 2 road games against 2 of the bottom teams in the league. And remember when I talked about the schedule getting easier? The key during this stretch is absolutely no letdowns. If you get out to a 1-3 start or a 2-2 start, this is the stretch. This is the beginning of the stretch where you need to start stacking wins together, and you got to do it fast. And it's not that this is a huge deal, since we shouldn't. I'm talking about the Jets here, because we shouldn't have an issue with a team like the Jets, regardless of when we play them this year. But playing that game on the road in week 5 is day and night. It's so much better than playing it later in the season when weather can become a factor in that. So going 3-1 during this stretch, maybe if you lose to the Vikings, or if you can absolutely go 4-0 during this stretch, is not only doable, but that may be a bit of a requirement if this team has any playoff aspirations for the 2022 season. Let's jump into quarter 3, because you're at the Bears, you're versus the Browns, you got a bye tucked in there, at home against the Texans, and you're at the 49ers. And this is where that middle of the season stretch of winnable games just absolutely continues. You get a road game against an inferior opponent where, once again, weather in Chicago at that point of the season probably is not going to be an issue. You get the Browns at home without Deshaun Watson. You get a bye week to get right, to get healthy for what should be just an absolute slaughtering at home against the Texans. And then you get your most difficult test over the course of the last 8 weeks when you go up and travel to San Francisco to play the Niners. But this is another stretch where you have to go at the very worst 3-1. Look at the quarterbacks that we're facing over this 8-week stretch, the second and third quarter of the season. You got most likely Zach Wilson. You got Kirk Cousins. You got most likely Mitch Trubisky. You got Jared Goff, Justin Fields, Jacoby Brissett, Davis Mills, and Trey Lance. In a league that's, for the most part, driven by quarterback play, you absolutely have to take advantage of this stretch. 6-2 at the worst, with honestly 8-0 being an actual realistic possibility between quarters 2 and 3. Let's jump into quarter 4, because you're at the Chargers, at the Bills, home on Christmas versus the Packers, at the Patriots, and then you finish up at home against the Jets. And this final quarter of the season is why that middle stretch of 8 games is so important to absolutely dominate, because you could easily, of the teams that are listed here, you could easily spot 4 losses in a row here at literally the most crucial point of the season. The Chargers were already good on offense. They added Khalil Mack and J.C. Treader to the defense this offseason. They are going to be in a dogfight in that AFC West. The AFC West is absolutely loaded right now, but I think they will be in the playoff hunt at this point of the season as it approaches. Moving on here, I just told you how we haven't beat the Buffalo Bills since 2018. And now we're talking about a cold weather game in Buffalo where Miami has struggled literally my entire existence on this planet as a Miami Dolphins fan. The Packers, honestly, in my opinion, probably took a little bit of a step backwards this offseason in regards to how they played football on the offensive side of the ball. But the thing is, for the Packers, their defense caught up. Their defense is kind of caught up to their offense. And at the end of the day, Aaron Rodgers is still Aaron Rodgers. And then you get a cold weather game in New England that I don't know about you, but I'm not looking forward to going to New England that late in the season before finally ending the season at home against the Jets. And I do love the idea of finishing the season at home against the Jets in the event that it's like a must-win playoff or bust type of game. You couldn't ask for a better matchup in that situation. But the 4-game stretch leading up to that point is reminiscent of that 4-game stretch to begin the season. So let's play this out. If you get 2 wins in that first quarter, let's say you get 7 combined in quarters 2 and 3, you need to not collapse against the Jets there at the end, and you've got to find a win against either the Chargers, Bills, Packers, or Patriots to get to 11 wins, which is probably the bar for a wild card berth in the AFC. The AFC is stacked this year. And that stretch to get to 11, that's counting going 7-1 during the middle of the stretch, that middle stretch of the season, quarters 2 and 3. So 11 wins is my bar. That's my standard for this year's team. If you look, 2 years ago, they got 10 wins. Last year, they got 9 wins. In my opinion, and it's really not even close, this year's team is so much better than those last 2 years' teams. So you got 9 wins, you got 10 wins. 11 is my bar. But to be honest, like we just went through, it's not going to be easy. I think we're going to see a season where it probably comes down to the last week. Like we are going to be on the edge of our seats the entire ride. But we got to take care of those lesser teams, not suffer any letdowns. And like I said at the beginning of this video, I play out the entire NFL schedule via the simulator. I do have the Miami Dolphins making the playoffs as the 7th seed, which meant they were traveling to Kansas City for wild card weekend. And while I would like to say that Miami could compete with Kansas City this year, that would be a very tough road game against an experienced Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, who have been there time in and time out. So unfortunately, wild card round against the Chiefs is where I have the Miami Dolphins season coming to an end. So I know that's not the ideal situation, but playoffs, 11 wins is my prediction, is my bar for the season. But I do want to hear your win-loss record predictions as well. Any other predictions you may have for the upcoming season. And let's get set for Patriots week. My tentative plan for the week is a Dolphins stock up, stock down, leading up to week 1. I'll be doing a video, 3 keys to victory against the Patriots. And then finally, I will be doing a game prediction and preview video as well. I may improvise or add things as we go throughout the season, but that is my tentative weekly plan during the season, plus recap videos following the season as well. But that is my time for today, Dolphins fans. Like I said, let's drop those win-loss records, any predictions you may have in the comments below. And until next time, Miami Dolphins fans, fins up.